Hello, this is John Maddox, the VP of People Analytics at Action Learning Associates. Thanks for joining the webinar today. We're going to talk about talent insights for businesses and more importantly here, or most importantly, the next big thing for business, and that it will come from HR. Let's dive in. So financial capital is the lifeblood of business. So think about airlines without the ability to buy planes, or automakers who can't create assembly lines because they don't have enough capital to do that, or they're not able to buy the equipment necessary to press cold steel, or telecommunications companies that don't have satellites. Well, today's investors have powerful research tools to make decisions, and they use the data available for them to make the decisions about whether to invest or not, or whether it's a bank or an individual. They're going to use roughly the same information. And most of the information that the accountancies focus on are tangible assets. And these are the physical assets or property owned by a company, things like equipment and buildings and inventory. And this is the main type of assets the company use to produce their product and their service. Now, there are also intangible assets, and these are the non-physical assets that have a monetary value since they represent potential revenue. And the things to think about here are patents and copyrights and company's brand and people. We'll get to that in a little bit more detail in a second. But with regard to intangible assets, here's a great quote from an article called "The Missing Trillions: Valuing Intangible Assets." And the quote says, "According to a recent report from the UK Treasury, the world's 5 most valuable companies are together worth 3.5 trillion pounds. Yet their balance sheets report just 172 billion pounds of tangible assets. The other 3.3 trillion pounds of value is missing in action." So doing the quick percentages here, 94% of the value drivers are unknown or are not reported. That seems like woefully inappropriate information, or not having it anywhere near enough information to make decisions about investing. Now, the SEC in the US provides rules about reporting information for publicly traded companies. Now, the old rule when it came to reporting information about people, one of the intangible assets, was just one. There's one piece of information, and that was the number of employees, or the headcount. But that rule changed. On August 26, 2020, the SEC came out with public announcement that human capital reporting was going to be essential for companies. So they had to report anything that was material, and human capital is certainly one of those material issues. The quote over here on the right about the new rule comes from the Human Capital Management Institute in one of their articles. And it says, "Public companies will be required to describe in more detail how human capital impacts their business results, including human capital risk factors that have or in the future could be expected to have a negative impact on the company." Now, measuring the intangible value of people. This is the next big thing for HR, human capital analytics and reporting, and it will drive change for businesses. Now, from a LinkedIn global survey that was published this year, 85% of leaders believe that this shift towards people analytics will dominate the function in HR in the coming year. Now, 55% of those same leaders still need help putting basic people analytics into place. You may be among those people. If you're a publicly traded company and you are among those people, you've got to do something fast, because in the next year or so, you're going to be looking at having to report this information publicly so that investors can make better business decisions, make better investing decisions. Now, public versus non-public. Public companies will be required to report material information about human capital. Non-public companies will face pressure from boards and stakeholders to report human capital information. Well, why? Well, it's been known for decades now that people are one of the major human capital intangible variables that drive value for a company. Now, whether you're public or non-public, All companies will benefit from measuring human capital and talent the way businesses typically measure, monitor, and manage things like operations or finance. You measure so you know what's happening. You monitor so you can see what changes are happening as the business changes or as the market changes. And then you take action based on those changes to make sure that you're continuing to meet goals and to drive performance for the organization. So regardless of whether you're public or non-public, using or focusing on talent management and talent metrics and reporting human capital is going to benefit your organization. Now, what are the next steps for organizations? Well, typically two things are going to happen. One of two things, and maybe both. An organization is going to build internal analytics teams around HR. If you don't have them already, you may consider building. The other option would be just entirely outsource the analytics function to an external provider. So those are the two primary options. Regardless of whether you're going internal or external, one of the next steps is to seek guidance from experts about ISO 30414. I haven't mentioned that yet, but I'll come back to that in just a second. So determine internal or external, seek guidance from ISO experts, and then begin building solutions and practice reporting. And I say practice because you're never going to get it right coming out of the gate. It's going to be a journey, and you need to set a strategy. So make sure that you can report as much as you're willing to report, as much as your stakeholders and the CFO are willing to report as soon as possible in order to be compliant with the SEC rules or stakeholder requirements. Let me talk about ISO 3414 for just a second. It's a new standard that's came out in 2018, but the SEC hasn't mandated it. This standard comes from the ISO group. It talks about 11 different areas of human capital and what could and should be measured. Now, the SEC isn't mandating that you use ISO 30414, but it is a great standard in the sense that it creates a framework. It shows you what measures are there and shows you a complete picture of what you could and should be measuring with regard to human capital. Now, you may be thinking, oh my, this is too much. I'm not sure where to begin, how to start, what needs to happen. Well, this is where Action Learning Associates can come in, and we can help provide critical support services. So we can help you establish your human capital measurement strategy. And it's not just something for the given year. Our approach is a sustainable approach that focuses on people, processes, and tools so that if one thing goes wrong or someone steps out or process breaks, it's still sustainable and the measurement strategy will carry on. Second, if you need to build that internal analytics team, reach out to us. We've built teams like these before. We know how to do it. We can help guide you towards hiring some of the best people and making sure you get the right roles and skills in place. Third, simply defining your KPIs. The ISO 30414 standard is a great place to start, but you may want to customize what's there to make sure that it aligns with your business. If you need a sounding board, if you need guidance, reach out to us. Fourth, you may want to automate and manage the reporting process. In fact, the first year may not be automated, but I suspect, especially for large publicly traded companies, you're going to move towards an automated approach, and you're going to need a technology to do that. Well, we have within our grasp a technology that does exactly that. So if you're interested, please reach out and we can inform you more about that and get you connected. And then lastly, you may want to conduct advanced analytics. And why would you want to do that? So you can determine the impact, not just for ISO and not just for SEC, but so that you can understand what human capital projects that are underway are really working. Are they achieving goals? Are they helping improve the business? Are the strides you're making towards improving talent management, are they really working? Now, if you're curious, who is Action Learning Associates? Here's our team. Doug Gray is our CEO. He's been an executive coach for more than 25 years, and he has experience with talent metrics and has recently written a book called Objectives and Key Results. That's OKR Leadership. Objectives and Key Results. OKR Leadership is the name of his book, and it's a continuation of what John Doerr has written about with OKR. I'm John Maddox. I've been recognized by Cake HR as a top 135 influencer in HR analytics, and I've written a couple books on the topic. If you have questions, concerns, you can certainly read those books, or you can come directly to us as a source and get your insights there. And then Brian Lowenthal is the third person of our team. He's the CEO of Lion Valley HR Solutions. He's also had various leadership positions at Heidrick & Struggles, Development Dimensions International, and benchmarking with the Hackett Group. So this is us. We hope that this has been informative. We hope that you're now aware of the requirements for publicly traded companies regarding human capital reporting, and regardless of whether you're public or private, that if you're interested, reach out to us. We'd be glad to help. Thank you very much. And here's our contact information for Action Learning. Thank you very much, and talk to you soon.